Have you ever considered the correlations that can be drawn between the modern world and the events of the American Civil War? I think that there are certain insights that we can gain from the events from our past that may hold serious significance to our modern day and age. You might be asking yourself, why should I be interested in the Civil War from a global perspective? However, I think that if you take the time to think about the context, certain themes will make themselves readily apparent. Events from our past might seem insignificant in the modern world, but ultimately, the shortcomings and progressive liberalism of our forefathers hold great insights into the modern global economy. Take, for instance, the development of new technologies that came with the Industrial Revolution and the effects that they had on the global world economy. Coinciding with this increase in the economic revenues and GDPs among modernizing societies is the creation of nation-states that develop their strong patriotic national identities. What interpretations can be made from these insights? Does this increase in nationalism and cohesiveness also produce an increase in the effectiveness of national armies? Abraham Lincoln saw the American Civil War is not only a catalyst to unify the northern and southern states, but also a way to develop the national identity of the United States. He was determined to protect the Union, no matter the cost, and increase the central government's authority to mobilize its citizens and make direct orders over the states. With this in mind, we can question whether or not it is worth it to have a more direct and centralized control of a population if it means giving up the localized rights of the people who live there. The United States has, above all else, cherished the opportunity to spread democracy around the world, even in places where it was not wanted. It is ironic to look at the United States as the epicenter of global freedom and human rights when the United States was one of the last countries on the planet to abolish the act of slavery. It is understandable, however, why the United States found itself in such a precarious position, as the federal government was established under ambiguous circumstances. What parallels can we draw between the modern day and age and the time prior to the Civil War, where nationalism was scarcely exhibited and was nowhere near what it has been in recent history? On top of this, we analyze our modern society. What trends do we see among the populations regarding their opinions of sovereign nations? Is this sense of patriotism and nationalism increasing or decreasing? Because of the interconnectedness of the modern world, it is impossible to limit the political ideations of a nation to one collective and cohesive identity. However, the interconnectedness between peoples of different cultures and nations is also increasing at an exponential rate. I think that understanding how the world was developing during the 19th century is paramount to understanding how the world is developing today. It is also important to denote why this matters to my current course of study. Interconnectedness is not a concept limited to developing national identities, but also to everything else. Take, for example, my current field of studies in the field of history. What parallels can I draw between the materials available from the American Civil War and those available from the French Revolution? What about the revolutions in China, where the People's Republic followed the nationalist ideologies of Chairman Mao? Wars and outbursts of violence are often, in history, used as catalysts for societal change and an increase in liberalistic intentions. However, the concept of nationalism and liberalism are not mutually exclusive. We can see in today's day and age that nationalism and conservatism are often used interchangeably. Oftentimes, people will bring up the concept of slavery and how it affected the politics of the United States prior to the Civil War. The concept is foreign today, where laws protecting the rights of all human beings exist. However, the act of slavery is something that cannot be ignored in modern society. It is irresponsible to deny the correlations that can be drawn between the act and modern institutions that are exhibited. Marginalized groups are still at risk of being discriminated against and experience similar plights to those of their ancestors. Immigrants, indigenous peoples, and African Americans all experience plights and discriminations in modern society. This is something that has been going on for years, and examples relating to the past can often be used to interpret the present. Looking at draft statistics of the American Civil War and how they negatively affected those in poverty or those who were in need of financial assistance those of which outweighed their fears of armed conflict is paramount to understanding the privileges of those who live in a modern